conversation is about the right age to put a child in school. And really, this conversation is getting me to look at other ways to solve this issue of putting a child in school maybe at 6 months, like Taye, who wants to ship off her child so that she and her husband can have breathing space. Taye, let me use this opportunity to tell you that you're inviting twins without breathing space. But anyway, I still have in the studio Wemimo Oludunsin, of course, who is a multi-talented leader, a prolific writer. She's a coach, she's a seasoned educator and administrator, and of course she's a very passionate teacher. And in our conversation this morning, she has also made me realize that for preschool, it is best to have preschool 1, preschool 2 for children between the ages of 3 and 5. And there's really no need for a nursery 3. That is because preschool and nursery school are the same thing. So there's really no need for a nursery 3 unless there is no reception for children that are below the ages of 3, maybe 2 to 3, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, like that. So she's still in the studio, and we're still talking about the right age to put kids in school. And one of the things you said that made me do a double take, like, okay, was when you told me that we can't genuinely answer the question of what is the established or standard age that a child should go into school, because we all lead different lives. Some parents would need to drop their children off as early as 5 a.m. and as early as 8 months, 6 months, 3 months because of the demands of their jobs. And because now that we know that that's a thing, we all need to just look for how schools would now ensure that those kids are adequately provided for, especially if they have to come in early and all of that. Then there was another thing you said earlier on, that a preschool environment should not be so rigid and make the child feel like, I'm facing a professor. That can trigger anxiety, for kids when they are wondering what's going on. Why is it
supposed to be transitioning from home to school? They know you're there. So in between, they should still feel a touch of home, the color, the toys, the smiling teacher, ability to sleep when they want to sleep. Not a structured, you must be learning at this time, ability to sleep.
Times 1, 2. And then we took a look at a couple of comments from our viewers. Yes. The question we asked was, what are your thoughts on parents sending their children to school at an early age? And Moyo's child, age 3, seems to be the poster child this morning, because Moyo is planning that a child should be at least 3 before getting into school.
Which is not bad if she's able to do some things, because our age it's not the same thing. I went to school when I was 6. When I had to do like this. Before. Though my mother was a teacher and all, but I didn't do any nursery or anything, and I coped. But that's to sentence my child to be at home till 6 now will not be fair on the child in a generation like this, and Lagos State in particular. So 3 years is fine, albeit from 2-year-old. I mean, the 2-year-old, the child is already talking. The child is possibly not using diapers again, and also Moyo should be able to get learning materials in the home environment where the child use the toy. There are tabs that the children will use now. They can download different learning things, phonic sounds, colors, and all those things. So if Moyo is able to do that, 3 is fine to go to school. Otherwise, maybe 2.
What you said about starting school at age 6 for you reinforces what Bolade said earlier on the show, that you are not raising your kid with your parents. You didn't get married to your own parents. Yes. So your children should not be subject to the exact same treatments that you got, because the times are changing. Because you started at age 6. I started at, I think, about 9 months, because my mom used to work at the bank, and she needed to put me in school. She didn't have a choice. And so imagine me saying that because of that, my own child has to start as 9 months.
There's no absolute.
There's really no absolute. Okay, let's move on with more of the comments that we got, so we can address some other misconceptions. Okay, there was one comment we took before you joined, and I wanted you to look at this. Taufika Inogu said, "Wome Pikin understand saying parents love am, but money must be made. At age 5, I was in primary 1 and I didn't die. It gave me an edge in life, even though university slowed me down, and it's not as if I am dull. May parents send their children early. What I won't take is for them to think that these schools replace their jobs as parents. Mind you, parenting isn't also only a woman's job." Now, there was a misconception there that I feel like we probably need to address, okay? This thought that if your education is late or if it is slow, then you are dull.
That's not correct. Why, when the university, the oldest person amongst us friends was about 5-6 years older than all of us. He's presently based in the UK. He was running a church here in Lagos before moving abroad. It was one of the most intelligent in our sets. As a matter of fact, from year 3 or 2, he was actually coaching his classmates. So that he was in school at the age of 28, while the rest of us were 21, 22, has nothing to do with being dull or whatever. It just means maybe at the time it started, some lost parents along the line, some lost opportunities, and also it has nothing to do with being dull or being bright or anything. It has to do with the time the child is starting. I started at 6, and when I got to secondary school, I did better than some of my friends here in Lagos that started at 2, 3, went to nursery, pre-nursery, whatever. And then when we got to secondary school, we competed and I did better than a good number of them. So age has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's take Grace and Adedoyin's comments. Grace says nursery school begins around 3 years.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's early. At 9 years old, I expect that my child should be done with primary school so that at 10, he or she would resume secondary school. And then Adedoyin says, waiting the one they teach them at that age in school that the parents can't. My kids are not starting school until they are 4.
Well, maybe Adedoyin is self-employed.
Okay.
And she's that disciplined. Even as an educator, I struggle with taking my child's homework. Sometimes I'm like, excuse me, please go to your daddy and all. So really, if Adedoyin is that disciplined and available, by all means, then teach your child. I mean, buy the required text, materials, videos, CDs, and all that, and do it if you're sure you'll be committed to doing it well, such that when the child goes into a formal setting, the child is not missing anything. So by all means, if you can do it, please do it. But the truth is, many parents can't. Even the educators, many parents can't. So please send your child to school at 3, at least.
Okay, but how about Grace, who thinks that, who has calculated everything, that by 9 or 10, you know, the child will enter secondary school?
Well, we pray that life turns out the way we want it at all the time, but it doesn't happen that way. Okay. A child can leave, what's it called? A child can leave primary school at the age of 9, 8, and go straight into secondary school, but may not pass JAMB until about 3 attempts.
You know, and then until it's 13.
May not have mathematics in the WAEC and all that.
True.
And I think, like the Bible says, that it's better for someone to suffer some things while you are young. It's better a child takes the proper channel and takes the time and leaves primary school at 10 or 11, 10 maybe, and then go straight. What's the point repeating SS2? If a child could have repeated primary 1 when he knew no shame, when there was no shame. If a child repeats nursery 1, nursery 2, or nursery 3, or primary 1, primary 2, the child possibly doesn't even know what's happening. But when a child repeats SS2, or is writing WAEC twice, 3 times, when the mates have gone ahead to university, then the child is beginning to feel something is wrong with me. So what's the rush? I've known people that went ahead of me at the age of 8, 9. I went to secondary school at the age of 11, but I wrote WAEC once. So what's the rush? So it's good to plan. But then some universities will also not take your child if the child is not 16. So parents had better know that. So the child will now finish at 14 or 15
and then sit at home.
What's the use?
They'll be doing extramural lessons.
Oh no.
Or computer lessons.
So let them grow. Let them grow. What's the use?
Okay. So we have John from Port Harcourt, and John says that, well, based on personal experience, I think you would know when your child is ready to start school. Some children are quicker to learn than others. Sometimes a 2-year-old child is already showing signs of learning, and the parents believe that mixing with other kids will only help them to learn even faster. My brother's child, for example, is not even 2 years yet, and our parents have are already looking to put her in school because she's already showing signs based on the review they get from the children department in church and also how she communicates at home. There are no rules to these things. Every day as a parent, you get to learn things about your child. So if you think taking them to school at an early age is what the child needs, then I guess that's what the parents should do.
I think John is very right. I have a child in my school who at once stopped using diaper. Before the age of 1, she's a wonder.
Cool
she will
stuff.
tell you, I want to wee. And I'm just like,
really?
You? I mean, she stopped like when she was 10 or 11 months. Maybe she will not talk that clearly,
yeah, but
she will be dragging somebody to know that she wants to go to the toilet. And when you put her on the potty, she just gets up and like, where are you from? What planet are you from? So children are different, and it's good, but not just based on the growth of the child, also on the home environment. If the mother has to work, no matter how not learning or how fast learning a child is, the child will go to school. So.
Okay, I will take Uzo and Tolu's comments and then would move on to other ones. I think early childhood education is the best. The earlier, the better.
Absolutely.
We all know that people who go to school earlier perform better than people who go later. I mean, adult education is a difficult thing. So going to school earlier gives a person an age advantage when searching for jobs.
When you say adult education, I think so. That adult education is not easy. It's difficult, but then not the difference between 2, 3, 4, 5 years and all. And also, there are things that are early. If you dictate them early, it helps the parents, it helps the nation, it helps the school. And those things are developed between the age of 0 to 6 years. If a child is going to have auditory problem, you quickly notice it, and then you can quickly...
Or dyslexia, for example.
All those things, you notice it when they are playing, where you make a sound, and you call the child, is not responding. The earlier you dictate those things. So early schooling is not just about learning how to read and write. It's just about how to detect different things, how to grow. Our other children pushing things, and this child is never pushing. Our other children jumping out, and this one is always, and so it's easy to dictate and easy to deal with whatever problem a child may have as they are growing up.
Okay, now I think that the standard here in Nigeria is 2 to 3 years, but it seems that age 3 is even late safe. Some 2-year-olds are already reciting the alphabet as songs, so I don't think it's a bad idea. In fact, when a child is 1.5 years, kindergarten and play groups are highly recommended so that they can begin to mix with other kids outside of their siblings and family. It's a good way to know to a small extent the personality of your child, just like you just said, and how they are able to mix and socialize with other children. That's Tolu from Ogun State.
Tolu is correct. Not kindergarten anyway. Playgroup.
But
so playgroup is the other name for reception.
Okay. Okay. Now, early childhood. This is Jasmine from Ogun State. Early childhood education is good, but needs a lot of consideration from the parents before sending their kids to school. Some questions need to be answered by the parents, such as: is the child able to say 1 or 2 things yet? Can the child recognize his or her shoe? And so on. If such child has special needs, we need to know that the child won't be exposed to danger when he or she is at school or even sidelined. It is also advisable that the children between ages 2 to 3 don't stay too long in school in terms of school hours. This is in order to prevent exhaustion and other issues physically, socially, psychologically, and so on. It is not how fast the child goes through education, but how well. I also think that preschool practices are proven to be beneficial to children when they start. They get to play, explore, learn. There is also the aspect of social interaction, and they get to experience the real world for themselves.
A lot of truth in that, except for the fact that when you say the children shouldn't be long in school, if a child was going to crèche, crèche is the longest duration of staying in school, from maybe 6:30 to 6
in the evening.
Family would have come in between and gone in between and all. Depending on the content of what they do in that school, a child can be exhausted. What amuses me most at my center is closing time. I sit and I see parents and children fighting. Some parents wait for 45 minutes, 30 minutes to pick their child, and the child is not ready to go. The child is playing. Mommy, please, can I stay 1 more minute? Mommy, please, another 10 minutes. Please let me play. Because really, the environment of a preschool should work. You know, there's different learning methods, lecture, teaching, play, way, storytelling, and all those things. The ideal setting of a preschool should really be play, way, learning, such that the child feels, I'm playing, but the child is learning. So exhaustion only comes in a setting where they have made preschool like primary school,
at the
like
desk.
you
Before there were blackboard.
No, but a child that is from TV to ball center to game this one to that to picking things from the shelf and identifying this and arranging the pink towers as you see in a Montessori school, arranging the broad stairs, arranging this one. When the parents come for some 15 minutes, they have not looked up. Oh, this child, your mommy is out.
Around. I'm
still building. So the mother will stay.
Hey, where you are, let's go.
There's no exhaustion there. So the content really matters.
Okay.
Yes, the content really matters.
Thank you so much for all that you've said. But just before I let you go, I still have one or two things that we need to tie up in terms of, so we've established that we can't really say that there's a one-size-fits-all because we have different situations for different people. But then, when a parent is trying to choose a school for their child, now, from parent to parent is different. You decided not to put your child in a school that you actually agree that it is good. But because their preschool does not have the play, the environment is not very play-friendly, you decided against it. Yes. So what should parents look out for when deciding to put, we now have different categories of parents. Some would put their kids in preschool at age 3. Some want to wait till the child is age 5. And you have said that it's best to just start early anyway, not wait till 5, 6. Now, some people would say that they want their kids to start at age 1. So what should all of this, even for creche, for people who want to put their kids in creche, what should everyone look out for? In terms of for creche, for preschool, for primary school, what should you look out for in placing your child in school?
Let's leave primary school out of this for now. Since we're discussing preschool and all.
Okay.
I would say if you have a way, if it's possible in your environment, you have a school that is solely dedicated to 0 to 5, that should be the place.
Okay.
Because it means that's the passion and the vision of the school owner.
Okay.
Now, there are some schools that started as primary school, secondary school, and they only have crèche and preschool because the parents have 2 children and they don't want to split their children and they don't want to lose those children. They just start it to extend business. You will see that it's not the vision. It's not. They are good with the primary school. They are good with the secondary school. But you will see, if you inspect the teachers, the resources they put to use, and
so
all
that would be like
space,
a child care center.
Yeah, it will look like an afterthought. You will know. No matter the money they put into it, something will tell you. But when you see a place that is totally dedicated to 0 to 5, I mean, I was not going to run a primary school. So for me, if I have my way, I will not do. Now I've started primary, actually. But 0 to 5 is my passion. Crèche, till today, till tomorrow, if you get to my center, I help more at the crèche because that's my interest. I do more with the babies and all, not the primary school. They are fine. The teachers take care of them, they teach and they go. But with the 0, Miss Wemo, I can color this. Ooh, I get excited. I try to look for the first step a child is taking. And I catch it with my, with my camera, and I send to the parents, your child took the first step to work today. Those are my wow moments. So when you're looking for a school for a child that is 0 to 5, you should look for a place that is set up principally for
to cater to that age group. Okay, so primarily, you mentioned something about how kids learn through play.
Yeah.
But there are some people who will still insist that, I just want my children to be able to say 2 times 1, 2, A for apple, B for whatever. And they would insist that they just want their kids in that rigid environment. What would you say to that kind of parent?
They exist, and they are more than the other group. And so I had this challenge when I started school that we're not buying textbooks and all of those things because Montessori doesn't believe a child should write before the child is age 4. You work with pencil materials, puzzles, and all those things that build up their pencil grip, they arrange things. But some parents will say, other children are coming home with homework.
Where is the homework?
Where is my child's homework? Other children are reciting So it took me, when you really want to run a 0 to 5, you are not just going to educate the child. You are going to be educating the parents too. It's a hard work. So our PTA meetings is never the usual discussing things in school. Our PTA meeting is telling you, your child, one parent beat the child because the child came home saying, when the mother thought she should be saying A. I said, Jesus Christ. He said, yes, because the child was already doing ABC before she went to your school. Now he came home and he's calling A. I said,
that's the sound.
I said, it's the sound. That's what we first teach them. You teach sound before you teach the letters. The parents said, I don't know. I said, so. When you run in such schools, you train the parents and you train the children.
Seems like a lot of training to do.
It's a lot of training to do. You train the teachers too, because many teachers, even though they have B education, they studied education in school, they are still clueless as to what is needed to start first, then to graduate to this and all that. So they also came with their ABC. So you are the one that was saying, no, we don't do that. Some want to force your children to be holding pencils, to be writing. And we are the one that will say, no, let them write on sand tray. We have sand trays. Let them trace with their hands. They will know this is the dimension. Let them do this one. Let them pick things that will help their pencil grip. And at 4, they just blossom. They just blossom. So it's a lot of process. You lose some parents to it. Some will tell you, no. One day I had to convince a parent. Said the neighbor is already reading 1 to 50. I said, go and bring the neighbor's child. When you brought the child, said touch number 5. The child was looking. We are teaching 1 to 10. We are not going to 50. So they felt we were slow. So I brought the child that she's coming. I said, touch number 9. The child touched number 9. Thought number 7, identify 7. Thought number 6.
Identification.
No, so they are not identified, they are just reciting. Reciting, anybody can sing a song. So all those 1 to 20, state and capital, as far as the children are concerned, it's a song.
It's been an amazing conversation with you on the show this morning. Thank you for joining me and having this conversation. But we have to go.